This is Hannibal here from thehannibaltv.com. Just finished watching the Dark Side of the Ring Black Saturday episode, which was the second worst episode of the season behind the Chris Colt one, which there worst. Bill Anderson was the best part of the Chris Colt episode, and next Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, I will be interviewing Bill Anderson. But this was really boring overall, this Black Saturday episode. No new information. While it is a relevant topic in wrestling history, it's not the most exciting topic. It was fairly neutral, I think, as far as showing Ole Anderson's side of it and Vince McMahon's side of it. Gerald Briscoe was in it, who, of course, ended up quite good out of selling his Georgia Championship Wrestling stock to Vince McMahon. Had a job for a long time. I would think if Vince McMahon starts a new company, Briscoe would probably be involved with it in some capacity, perhaps as a recruiter. Uh, who else was in it? Ole Anderson's son. I've heard a story about Ole Anderson. Ole Anderson told his son told the story in this that Vince wanted Ole to work for WWE once they had the buyout, and I think Jim Cornette, who's in pretty much every episode in this of Dark Side of the Ring, almost every episode, that really helps him with his publicity. He mentioned this too, that when Vince asked him to come work for him, he basically told him to F off. I've heard Ole say in a shoot interview that he really regrets that. He didn't think McMahon would be as successful as he would be. He didn't understand pay-per-views and all this, and in retrospect, he would have gone to work for Vince McMahon. He ended up not too bad because he ended up with his own wrestling show, Georgia Championship Wrestling, later on once the WWE show failed on TBS, and of course WWE ended up selling to Jim Cornette or Jim Crockett for $1 million. But I would say this was a really boring episode. To be honest, I had to watch it twice because I caught my mind kind of drifted off the first time I was watching it because it was so boring. I was in my massage trying to watch it in my massage chair. Uh, Overall, this was the last episode of the season. The good episodes were the Sherry Martel one was pretty good. Sandman was decent. Could have been better. Chris Adams was one of the better ones. Um, Harley Race was all right. But for the people that say, oh, they don't know how Harley Race and Brutus Beefcake, who I interviewed by the way about this, how Brutus Beefcake and Harley ended up in Dark Side of the Ring. Well, Brutus almost died from the parasailing accident. Harley Race um, had a ton of accidents, most of them alcohol related, from what I understand, and, and definitely smoked himself to death. So although he lived a glamorous life, seemingly, and he was a great guy, like obviously I was around him, he was like chain smoking as if he wanted to die. Frenchie Martin was another guy doing that, and they both ended up dying because they were smoking so much. So obviously, I mean, you got to be in some sort of depression if you're just smoking cigarette after cigarette. You're just you're asking for death by doing that. And Brutus Beefcake, of course, had the whole um, subway or not subway, but toll booth uh, scare with the alleged drug, which he denies, and he wasn't criminally charged over it. So there may be some truth to that. But again, overall, disappointing season. One of the reasons I think the ratings went down so much after the the Chris Colt episode was the very graphic descriptions by the porn director who Chris Colt worked with about his porn scenes and the footage of the porn scenes. I think it turned a lot of people off. So overall, disappointing season. I know they're probably gonna do another one because they've talked to Billy Jack Haynes, um, about possibly doing one on him, depending on if they'll legally be able to or not. But, yeah, overall, this was there was a couple good episodes, 3 or 4 good episodes, but this last one, I think they finished it off with a dud for sure. Very one of the most boring episodes ever. As I said, I had to watch it twice because my mind drifted so much. Uh, just a bad subject.